Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about homeschool electives. And I hope that I can make this video really quick and fast before my kids can find me. So let's get started. Homeschool electives. We're going to be talking about all of the electives that we do for the kids. Last 2 weeks, we talked about the core subjects. So the core subjects are reading, writing, math, spelling, and grammar. And I talked about how I tackle those subjects in the morning. First thing in the morning, I tackle those subjects because I want to get that done as soon as possible. And I talked about my morning routine and how I rotate each child in the morning, and we finish all of our core work by 12 noon. I'm going to link that video below if you have not seen it. Now let's talk about electives. So for electives, since I have so many little ones, I like doing our electives in an integrative way, not with a textbook approach. So what does that mean? If I use a textbook approach, I'm going to have to be doing kindergarten science, second grade science, fourth grade science. If I use an integrative approach where they can all learn together at their own levels, it works beautiful because I don't have the time to do individual subjects with each child, and I also don't find that the textbooks really teach children. And so I like using a living books approach to teaching the electives. So for example, let's go into history. So for history, we're using Story of the World. For Story of the World, I read to them the chapter for the week, and then together we do all the things. So the kids do a coloring page. For writing, for example, my oldest does 1 page of copy work, my second oldest does half a page, and my kindergartner does 1 sentence about what we read. And so you see how each child is going to be doing the same lesson, but at the same time at their own individual levels. So for history, we have these history notebooks where the kids have a page of map work, a coloring page, they have a quiz, and they have 1 page of copy work. And they usually also have a project that we do that week for history. This week they worked on making some masks. And so every week is a different project. And so for science, moving on to science now, you guys. So for science, we do unit studies. I like doing unit studies because it really brings learning alive, and we focus on a particular theme each month. Let me see if I can find the book for you guys. I have the book here. Let me get the book. So here's the book for science that I was going to show you guys. It's called the Osborne Complete First Book of Nature. And really, you can use any encyclopedic type of nonfiction book, but I'm using this one right now, and it's going to be covering, let me show you. So it has birds. It has birds, trees, flowers, butterflies and moths, wild animals, fishes, and creepy crawlies. And it has factual information about these things. So I read to the child a little bit each time that we do science. And then what I do is I have a little shelf, a unit study shelf. And in this shelf, I put on their hands-on activities that have to do with our unit study. So it brings the learning alive, and the kids have an experience with learning. So let me go ahead and show you the shelf now. Here is our display of our bird unit study. Starting at the top, I have a drawing of the anatomy of a bird that I'm going to have the kids copy into their science notebooks. Then at the bottom, I have books on display about birds, such as How Do Birds Find Their Way? Birds, the Osborne Discovery Birds book. I have Owls by Gail Gibbons. I have a little fiction book about the little red bird. I have other bird nonfiction books as well that they can flip through, learn information about birds. And I let them flip through it, let them look at the bird information on their own. And I also, during science time, pick out from any of these books and read to them information about birds. Over here, I have one of my favorites, which is a wooden puzzle of birds. But what I like the most about it is that Every single piece has a fact about the birds. This is the woodpecker, and it says, pecks 8 to 10,000 times per day. So it gives facts about the birds. And I'm going to be linking this below. This one flies up to 32 miles per hour. It gives facts about the birds. So it's great for the older ones and for the little ones. As the older ones are learning about the facts, they could even write some of these facts down in their science notebooks. Down here we have picture cards of the birds, and they're realistic pictures. So I have the actual picture so that if they see these birds outside, they'll be able to identify them. And then I have over here lots of bird figurines. A lot of these I got from Safari Ltd. And then I have these word cards. So basically the child would match the bird to the cards if they're younger. So that would be an easy activity. Robin, American robin, and they would match it to the card. Or they can also, the older kids can label these birds with the cards over here. So they would find the American robin picture card and label it American robin. They would go on, labeling all the birds this way. I'm going to link below a download for these cards. You can get them for free for your kids if you have the Safari Ltd figurines. They're wonderful. Over here we have a game called Hoot Owl Hoot, and this is a cooperative board game that my kids have loved by Peaceable Kingdom. It's really fun, and there are no losers. That's why we love it, and the kids always have fun playing it. Over here we have some flashcards of the most common birds in our backyard, so they can identify female and male of each bird. And this is a great way to get them acquainted to the birds so that they can identify them in their backyard or local communities. Down here we have a puzzle. This is called North American Birds Scramble Squares. And it's a puzzle that they have to put together, and it's actually pretty difficult. I wouldn't use this for beginners. They really have to figure it out, how to get all of the squares lined up like this in this format. And completing the puzzle as well. So they have to figure it out. And this is for ages 4 to 104. Over here we have how to draw birds. I want the kids to be able to draw some of these birds in their science notebooks. And they're great. It goes step by step on how to draw the birds. And then over here I have the Bird Watchers coloring book. And this is so that they can color in. My kids love coloring. And so for them, it's a really soothing activity. And lastly, I have a shoe over here. And we are doing some shoe tying skills. Kids are learning how to tie their shoes. So I always keep this on a shelf until we're done learning that skill. So there you have it. That is our bird unit study display. So there you've got it. That is our unit study shelf. Of course, you don't really have to set up a shelf. It really is sort of like a hobby and a passion of mine to do hands-on activities. If you guys have followed me for years, you know that I just love setting up these type of activities for children. So that is how we do science. So we do read a little bit each time we have our science allotted time, read a little bit from our encyclopedic type of books. I don't always use this one, of course. I have different encyclopedias and different types of books that I use to just do a unit study on a particular area. Another way that you can do it is you can follow your children's interests. So if your children are into butterflies, then you could do a butterfly unit and just delve into butterflies, show them documentaries about butterflies. Maybe take them to the museum to see some butterflies. Maybe you can get a butterfly nursery and grow your own butterflies at home. And this is how you bring learning alive. I don't believe in the textbook type of approach where they're just learning like little fragments of information that have nothing to do with their regular life, and they can't form connections. So this is why I like teaching unit studies with living books, not with textbooks. And you can do it so many different ways. I think it's so much easier this way. There's really no test. We do have a science notebook that the kids keep just to write down, jot down any information, draw things in there. But I just keep it really fun and easy for us. So the next subject that we have is handicrafts for electives. And handicrafts is basically sewing, weaving, clay work, beading, all types of skills like that, crocheting for my oldest. And these are skills that children need to learn so that they can become more self-sufficient. I am a true believer in handicrafts, making things with your hands, whether you are male or female, boy or girl. You can provide these opportunities for kids, and it's going to be very enriching for them. So, for example, this week for sewing, we had the kids sew a little heart into a embroidery ring, and then that's this week. And then next week we're going to continue adding different things on there, like little buttons and the designs to it. And so last week we did some clay work, and the kids were using air dry clay to create different things, little bowls. They were creating little animals, all types of things. And then what happens is that they let it air dry for like 1 or 2 days, and then they go ahead and paint it. And it's just really fun. We have been loving working with some clay. So every week I just provide a different handicraft. Let me know if you guys want to see like a whole entire workshop on how to set up handicraft opportunities for your children. Now we'll do it for you. But I definitely do believe that this is truly important for kids. If you have older kids, you can go into woodwork and simple home repair, maybe baking. You could teach older kids how to change the oil of a car, how to do tire repair. You can go into coding, robotics, STEM. It's never ending what you can do for the electives. So the next elective that we have is learning a second language, and in my home we're learning Spanish. And so the way that we're teaching Spanish is that we're doing 2 different things. I can go into an in-depth video on how we teach a second language, but just want to show you 2 different resources that we're using right now for Spanish. We're using the Spanish Learning folder, and this is a folder that has all of the basic concepts that need to be learned to master the Spanish basics. So we do 1 page a day. For Spanish, we do Spanish every single day. So we do 1 page a day with the kids together, and then I will test them out for 5 minutes individually to see that they're really learning this particular page that we're learning. So the different things are like numbers and colors and verbs, fruits, vegetables, different household items. Different pages on different things. They're different themes. So like they'll have farm animals, then they'll have zoo animals. There's different themes in the Spanish folder, and so we tackle 1 page a day. Aside from that, the kids are also learning from Rosetta Stone. Rosetta Stone is a program on the computer, and then the kids are learning individually on the computer. This is an immersion type of program where there's no translation that happens. Basically, they're immersed into the language, and you can learn any language you want on Rosetta Stone. I highly recommend it because it is very effective. In fact, the U.S. Army uses it to train their soldiers to learn different languages. So it's really effective and a truly great program. And they have a homeschool subscription that you can have for bigger families. The next elective that we have here in our home is music. So we have our kids learning piano and violin. And so I know that learning an instrument is very important for kids because it improves their memory skills. It improves hand-eye coordination, fine motor skills, listening skills, math skills, and it goes on and on. I mean, it improves the child in all content areas of academics. So part of our homeschool, our children all need to learn at least 1 instrument. That is a requirement that we have, and they need to learn a language. And so what we do is first thing in the morning, I talked about it in my morning routine, how first thing in the morning, the kids are doing their instruments. We get that out of the way first thing in the morning. Once a week, they do a meet up with their teacher. Right now, they're meeting virtually because of the whole COVID situation. They're meeting virtually now through Zoom. So I set up an iPad for them, and they are doing their lessons through Zoom now. And we're probably going to keep it this way because it's working out really well, and I don't have to like haul all the kids to class. And they're doing really well with the lessons. So we're going to keep our Zoom lessons at least for another year, I think, because it's working beautiful for us. Another elective that we have is art. So for art, the kids have an art notebook, and they do sketching in there, watercolors, oil pastels, and painting. We usually pick tutorials from YouTube that they follow. I've also done some virtual classes. We just finished a virtual class that we did for art, and the kids absolutely loved it. They're following the teacher online, again, through Zoom, and they really had fun with that class. So everything is kept in an art notebook, and it's very organized. It's very easy. They actually look forward to art, and sometimes I'll sit down with them with my own little notebook and draw and learn along because it's fun. It's really fun. And the last thing we have for electives is gym. A lot of you have asked me, what do you do for PE, for physical education for kids? And I'm going to tell you guys that I don't have a set program right now. It's beautiful outside. My kids are outside playing for hours a day. They're out there building bird traps for birds, catching birds. I don't know why they love that. And then they let them go. They've also been catching little dragonflies because we have so many in our backyard, and they catch them in little jars, and then they observe them, and then they let them go. They have been building ant farms and gardening, all types of things, and I just let them, be in the backyard. They love it. They're out there running, climbing, jumping. They absolutely love being outdoors. What better physical education than having your kids be outdoors? Now, if your child has a talent in a particular sport, I highly recommend that you guys go towards that route. But my kids are not really interested in sports right now, and I don't see those aptitudes. So I don't go towards those areas. I don't put a child in a sport just because they need to be in a sport. Because sports are very time consuming, especially in the weekends. You have to go to different games, and it can become slave work. If your kids are not interested in sports, don't do yourselves a favor and do the child a favor. Don't put them in sports. Follow your children's interests, and you will do great. It actually respects the child as well, because children shouldn't be doing things they don't love. I take a different approach when it comes to sports. I don't force kids to do sports that they don't like. It's different for academics, because for academics, they have to learn different things. They have to learn the core subjects. In my homeschool, they have to learn an instrument. So that's part of their curriculum. But when it comes to sports, I don't force it. So for winter or fall, when it gets a little colder and the kids are not outside as much, I do have a 15-minute routine that I want to share with you guys that you can try with your children. Doing like different circuit trainings, and it's really engaging and fun. I'll be sharing with you that in the summertime soon. But you can do YouTube videos. You can do all types of things. We love doing step aerobics together. It's fun. So when it gets cooler, we're doing all those things indoors. Also, when we're indoors, the kids are doing open-ended creative play. So I have a shelf, and I have different activities that I set up for the kids to keep them away from screens. And I actually just made a workshop on that I'm going to share with you below in the description box. And this is setting different play scenarios for kids with sand, dirt, rice, yarn, Play-Doh, all types of things. And it's wonderful. I had so much fun making this tutorial for you guys, and I'm going to link it below in the description box if you want to take a look. So I hope you have enjoyed the video of our homeschool electives. As you can see, it's simple. You just basically rotate a different elective each day of the week for 45 minutes to an hour. For older kids, you might do it for longer. It's really easy. You follow your kids' interests. You do it in an integrative approach, so that you are involving all of your kids at a different level. I love using living books, encyclopedic books instead of textbooks, and doing hands-on activities to bring learning alive. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you do for your homeschool electives or what you're planning on doing. If you haven't seen our core subjects video in our morning routine, I'll link it below in the description box, and I'll link below in the description box anything else that I mentioned in the video. I will be making a video on our curriculum that we're using for this coming 2020 year soon, so keep posted. If you haven't already subscribed to my email list, please do, because you get an email whenever I post a new video. Until the next time, bye bye.